Hey kid, do you want to ride my flying motorcycle?
Yeah, let's go!
Alright, but put some spaghetti on your head and act like a doofus.
What?
You ready to talk some movies, Brennan?
Yeah, okay.
Well, let's go! Corrupted youth! Corrupted youth! Corrupted youth! Corrupted youth!
Hi, welcome to the Corrupted Youth Podcast. I'm Dan,
I'm Brennan.
and believe it or not, for over 5 years, we're a father and son duo that explores the latest blockbusters, classic genre films, and the schlockiest of golden age VHS rental store flicks in spoiler-heavy fashion. So, February, the month of love. It's short. It's got Valentine's Day, all sorts of lovely things. Although here in Wisconsin, it's icy and cold, miserable,
Yeah.
and the weather is just unpredictable.
It's
and
the
nasty.
last bit of winter where you just wish it would go away.
I know, it's like just kicking and screaming. Like,
Mhm.
if February could, it would have weather storm the Capitol.
If
Just trying to hang on.
if February could, it would be the longest month.
That's why it's the shortest month,
Yeah.
because we don't want
They were-
any of
they were
its
like-
BS.
They were going through all the days and like, whoa, this month is too long.
That's right. And that's why you picked out the loveliest movie possible.
Yes, I did.
One that's just full of heart.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, it just warms you.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, can I just watch two koalas snuggle each other and drink hot cocoa? Could I just do that?
I have no idea where I pulled this movie from, but I picked out the Judge Dredd movie. Not the good one.
Oh, the one from 1995.
Yeah, the bad one from 1995.
Judge Dredd with
Judge
Sylvester
Dredd
Stallone.
with Sylvester Stallone. Because there is the other good one. The only good one, which we watched, the one just called Dredd. I don't know when that came out.
2012.
2012. Yeah.
Carl Urban as Judge Dredd.
Yeah. Fantastic movie. That movie is great.
And I had you watch that
Yeah.
in whenever it came out on home video.
Uh-huh.
I had you watch that. And I remember saying, there's another one. You can't watch.
Yeah.
We're just not going to watch it.
Don't even bother with it.
Yeah, we're not going to bother with it. But you did say that when you picked this out, and I don't want to speak for you on this, but you did say there's a list of movies that we always bring up that you haven't watched.
Mm-hmm.
And I know damn well this was not one of them.
Not at all. Not at all.
But when I said, what movie are you going to pick? You just pulled this one out of a weird magic hat.
I don't know. I really genuinely, I've not thought about this movie really at all. I've only heard about it, and I remember seeing maybe like 30 seconds of it on TV, and I think you changed the channel. So that's all I really went into it with. And I haven't like read any of the comics either. The only thing I know is the 2012 movie, really, and like the idea of the character.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna start it off too, and I'm gonna say my knowledge base on the comics extremely limited. I've read a couple comics, and if anybody out there doesn't know, Judge Dredd did have a start in comics out of the UK through 2000 AD was the name of the comic. It was like an anthology comic book, and the basic idea of Judge Dredd is just it's satire.
Mm-hmm.
It's made to just kind of, the English really saw the US and its fascination with ultraviolence and say kind of like that really heavy authoritarian cop just going rogue, doing whatever he wants kind of attitude of, say, Dirty Harry, and going, well, this is messed up. What if we took it to an extreme?
Mm-hmm.
And you get Judge Dredd. And it's not that it's not ripe for being adapted to film at all. It really isn't. It's a great idea.
Yeah. And it is successful, we've seen. And
one thing that did prevent Judge Dredd from coming out earlier than 1995 is RoboCop. RoboCop kind of does a lot of the same things.
And in this case, better.
Yes. But I mean, RoboCop does kind of get on that. Like, Verhoeven really knew when he was making RoboCop. He got that satire of just the ultra-violent American gung-ho, just testosterone type of film. Yeah. And just pushed it.
Yeah. It's almost like a weird Predator case where they make it as commentary on an idea and it ends up being the best at that. Yeah, Predator absolutely. Is a commentary on like macho guy action films, and it ends up being the best macho guy action film.
It really does.
Yeah.
And the thing is that there's a lot of this movie, and we're not even getting into it yet.
Yeah.
But I feel this all needs to just be said first, is that this movie, when you're watching it, there's a lot of, it feels that it is trying to be RoboCop in some ways. It takes a lot from it, right down to just the simplest thug characters in this, just being over the top. And it sounds like RoboCop in a lot of ways. The soundtrack, even from, what's his name? Silvestri, is very RoboCop sounding. And it has to be just laid out there just in the front that this is just, I don't think you'd have this movie without RoboCop.
And you wouldn't have RoboCop without Judge Dredd.
Yeah, it's
a weird roundabout circle.
Yeah, it's just the snake is eating its own tail type of thing. And it's really interesting that, say like an American production was doing let's adapt a British comic that really is making commentary on the United States. And just how, spoiler alert, it doesn't get it.
Yeah.
It really does not.
It does not get it.
And all right, we'll stop there. I feel you've got a lot to say about this.
Yeah.
I know I've got a lot to say about it. I'm sure we have a trailer, so I'm sure this is where I will put it.
As a city, we continue to grow.
73 citizen riots.
Come and get us! Throw out your weapons and prepare to be judged! Judge this! Court's adjourned. Ready?
You're a legend. You are my finest student.
Get Dredd!
Dredd, you're under arrest.
What's the charge?
Murder.
The evidence has been falsified!
Guilty as charged.
I never broke the law! I am the law!
You want chaos?
The sentence shall be life imprisonment.
I'm the chaos. Dredd?
Every crushing paw!
Excuse me? We're not together.
It's not for this council to play God.
Who says politics is boring? We're going to war.
You're a lot of fun to be with, Drake!
Mr. I am the law. We got a lot in common. I'll be the judge of that.
Drake, look out!
You sure did put a trailer there.
I sure did. A movie like this.
I imagine there's like a cheesy voiceover guy.
Wait, you just watched the trailer?
Oh, I definitely did. So I remember he was, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, I don't know if you noticed, but yeah, these are my notes for Deathbed, our previous episode, because I took no notes. And I'm not bailing you out on this one. We're just going to throw this one out there. I see you have no notes.
Of course not.
We're shooting from the cuff on this.
Because, I mean, it isn't the most wild of plots.
No. I mean, this movie is a cool, like 1 hour, maybe 36 minutes.
Yeah.
It is just...
It makes the cutoff for a movie.
There's no messing around.
I felt the length. It chugs along.
It does its thing.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people talk about it, and I know I've even brought it up. Man, an hour and a half is a great time for a movie.
It really is.
If you can just get enough story in, like don't drag out some story to 2.5 hours if it doesn't need to.
Yeah. Spider-Man No Way Home. Great example of a movie that really needed to be 2.5 hours long.
Sure, yeah.
And it worked out perfectly for it.
Plenty of movies do. Like I'd say even like just about any Star Wars movie, it needs to be a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But that's also, I think, why they make movies too long, is because everybody just, that's like, oh, well, good movies are 2 to 2.5 hours long.
Yeah.
They don't need to.
They really don't need to.
No.
This movie, perfect length.
It is. Anymore,
Ugh.
you'd be like itching in your sweater
Yeah.
and just trying to get out of it. Like, okay, all right. There's no fluff really to this movie.
Mm-mm.
And I'll give it credit for that.
Yeah.
It really just cuts out any just scenes that are unneeded. But that said, yeah, IMDb info, I'll go over that. Yeah, so according to IMDb, Judge Dredd from 1995, in a dystopian future, Joseph Dredd, the most famous judge, a police officer with instant field judiciary powers, is convicted for a crime he did not commit and must face his murderous counterpart. That description is very spoilery. It kind of ruins the whole point of the movie.
Yeah.
Because it is kind of surprising when it does come up.
Mm-hmm.
Where you're like, wait a second. I mean, you kind of get that he's being set up.
Oh, 100%.
But, yeah.
That doesn't happen until like halfway through the movie, that all those points are fully revealed.
There's a lot of setup, just world building to this movie.
Yeah.
That I do appreciate.
Yeah.
And this movie, production value wise, good.
Yeah.
It's very good, actually.
I agree, yeah.
I will not fault this movie for its production value. The grittiness, the griminess, everything's just wet all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing, there's very brief glimpses into anything that's nice.
Yeah. And I will say, I have seen it done better, of course. I wouldn't like this wouldn't be top of my list for dystopian future, but it does do a really good job.
Let's go over the cast quick. Yeah, so it was directed by Danny Cannon. Danny. It stars Sylvester Stallone, Armand Desante, Rob Schneider, Jürgen Prochnow, Max von Sydow, Diane Lane. That covers your... Yeah, so not a bad cast.
No.
It really isn't. And nobody really comes off as not being able to act in this movie.
And Sylvester Stallone as Judge Dredd, actually pretty great casting.
I'm going to say this too, yeah. It is good casting.
Yeah.
Because his face, like when he's wearing the helmet, he's scowly.
Yeah.
That man has like spaghetti lips that they're just, and that's not a slight on his Italianness, but I'm saying like they look like a couple of noodles that just move around weird, you know? And he is kind of hard to hear in this movie though. And I know a lot of people give him grief for the way he talks and everything. And that's actually like a weird thing of his that he worked a long way to overcome and be where he is. But man, like they could have turned up his volume a little bit. Because I noticed even when we were watching it, I was like, why is he quiet? Why is he so quiet when he's talking? And it's like, he already sounds like he's got a mouthful of stuff.
But either way, he looks the part.
Totally does.
Especially when he has that helmet on.
Why does he take it off?
Yeah.
Because, man, that's one thing I will give Carl Urban. He was not willing to take off that helmet. He did not want to take it off. And I'll be damned if that movie's not better for it. Because in the comic books, Judge Dredd did take his helmet off, but you don't see his face. You know it's just disfigured and it's in shadow. And You don't need to. That's the point. Is like you don't need to see it.
It does not matter. It's like Master Chief from Halo. What does he look like? I don't know. Some dude probably. He takes his helmet off. They just never show his face. Doesn't matter.
And there still is that problem to this day where everybody's just taking off their masks. They're taking off their helmets all the time. And a lot of it has to do with if you're paying for the star, you got to show their face. Because otherwise people are going to say, well, why don't I see his face? I don't know who it is if I don't see it. Man, the ability for Carl Urban to act Judge Dredd just by his mouth alone. And even in this movie, you can still see through the visor on Stallone. I mean, granted, we're watching it on a 4K TV.
Yeah.
But still.
But you can still see his face.
Yeah. And he could have pulled it off without taking off his helmet.
Mm-hmm.
He could have done it. But also this movie writes it so that he has to be without a helmet, which is just, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it, story-wise, sure. I mean, but when he just, like, takes it off really early on, just out of nowhere.
I was just like,
what are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing? Put it back on. It was just when it's unnecessary is when it's really bothersome.
It really is. Do you think you can just summarize this movie? Like, just tell me the entire plot. Because I kind of don't feel like running through this scene by scene.
Yeah, so the movie starts off, Rob Schneider, for some reason, is our opening character that we follow as he comes into Mega City 1.
Well, yeah, he's released from Aspen Prison because that's another major location.
Yes,
where
so there's Aspen Prison. He's a criminal. He's released from. He goes back to Mega City 1, and this world at this point has been completely devastated by climate change and wars. So most of the planet is just wasteland. What do they call it? They had a name for the wasteland. Whatever it is.
Is it not just
the wasteland? But
or the scorched
earth. That's what it was. So the world is a complete wasteland, and the only refuges of humanity are these huge, massive cities filled with tens, if not hundreds, of millions of people, all densely packed together. And so he gets back to Mega City 1, which is just New York.
In this, yeah. In the comics, I do know that like it's a larger swath. It's more like just the East Coast of the United States in general.
For this, you see the Statue of Liberty, and I thought that was the most ridiculous thing I'd ever seen.
Well, I could see trying to preserve that.
I don't know. It's been like centuries.
Well, I mean, it's like 2135 or something like that. 2136. Yeah. It's only like...
Well, that seems a little ridiculous.
Like 140 years in the future. Which, yeah, we're not going to make it that long.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Or we will end up exactly like this.
It's not out of the realm of possibility. Actually, this concept really isn't that dumb of a concept.
It really isn't, yeah. And that kudos to the comic book writers on that one.
Right. I mean, it's also very cyberpunk in ways. And I know there's probably younger people out there who don't understand what cyberpunk is. Cyberpunk is just a gritty future.
Yeah.
Where there's a lot of technology and things like that. It's just a grim future. It's like a genre of future storytelling.
Yeah. There's the game Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty amazing representation of cyberpunk. Oh my god, Blade Runner. Blade Runner is a good example if you don't know. But anyway, I'm sure you guys know.
Listen to our Blade Runner episode.
Yeah, listen to our Blade Runner episode. We had a really funny bit at the end there. So Rob Schneider gets back and he's thrust in the middle of a block war, just like two gangs fighting, and he's hiding away, and then you get to see some judges shoot some people, and then Judge Dredd shows up, and it was pretty BA when he just goes through the whole like building and just clears it like no issue. When he pulls up and he's standing there, and he's like, "What are you hiding for?" Like, he can like tell the caliber of gun that they're shooting. He's like, "The effective range is only 200 meters. I'm 400 meters away," or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And okay, so how about this? There's a black war, right? And there's a lot of gunfire, and this part is very RoboCop.
Yes.
As far as like all these goons and crooks and stuff, they're kind of that over the top. But I do like it though. I really like this part. Actually.
Yeah, this part's really cool.
And just how he has like the little tiny microphone pop out of his helmet, and then it's like broadcasting out of his bike. There's no way they would hear that. I could barely hear it on the TV.
Yeah.
And everything's just crazy loud, and it's just him, and it's all quiet.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So yeah, he goes through and he clears out all the crooks and criminals, and he catches Rob Schneider hiding away in like a little robot and sends him back off to jail.
I did like the robot.
Yeah.
Like selling recycled food.
Yeah.
And it had the Coors like beer thing on top. It's like turning around.
Uh-huh.
I thought it was kind of neat.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. So then he gets sent away back to prison. You don't see him until like later in the movie.
Judge Dredd gives him 5 years.
5 years.
So the judges in this, in case you're not aware, they're basically like if you sent out cops, but you take out the whole entire court system, and the cop alone dictates what the sentence is going to be for a criminal when they're confronted or they arrest them or whatever. They can just dole it out right on the spot. Like it could be your sentence is death, your sentence is like 5 years in prison, whatever they decide, that's it. And as Judge Dredd says, I am the law. He is the law. Any judge is.
Yeah. I mean, they all have to follow like a code to it.
But it's up to them.
It is up to them. Yeah. So yeah, he sends them off 5 years or whatever.
Oh, what do they call the guns that they have? Like the Peacekeeper?
Peacemakers?
Or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's a gun that's specifically coded to them. Nobody else can use one.
Mm-hmm. It's their DNA in the gun.
Yeah. And they don't know it's DNA at this point, though. But there is a guy who tries to use the gun and gets completely electrocuted.
Yeah.
And that part was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But they also can just like, it's verbal commands and it has different settings on it, which is completely ridiculous, but whatever.
Whatever.
It doesn't matter.
It's pretty cool either way.
It doesn't matter.
It's really
like,
cool.
You can be like, okay, I'm going to like grenade. And then the gun's like, grenade. And
Yeah.
you could just shoot a grenade out of it.
Yeah. No idea how that works.
It doesn't
It does not matter.
It does not matter because
It is cool.
I'm kind of all for it.
I did not understand when he says double whammy and then the gun just shoots two projectiles at like what I can only assume is a fixed angle. So it seems very situational to use double whammy if you have two crooks lined up in the like the right angle to shoot, but whatever.
Yeah. And at this point, he kind of gets hooked up with Judge Hershey because her partner gets killed. So they're just kind of together as partners now, I guess.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. I don't remember if this is the same character that is in the newer movie because he gets hooked up with a new partner too, female partner. But I know like in that one, his female sidekick is psychic.
Yeah.
And that's one thing in the comic book is that psychics are a pretty normal thing. And so they use them as judges. No psychic abilities here.
Didn't have time.
No. Okay. If I were going to do that.
Yeah. So, there's some blah, blah, blah stuff that happens at the academy.
Yeah, he's got to like go teach now.
Yeah.
Because his Max von Sydow's character, Judge Fargo, just because he's important, I guess we should acknowledge his name. He's like, hey, you'd be really good in the academy, so why don't you teach?
Because Judge Fargo, he seems to be a lot, he's a lot more chill and like lax when it comes to punishing criminals. Because, like, obviously Judge Dredd kills a lot because the story has to be interesting, and all the other judges on the panel that he's like, this big board that they're sitting on, they're all very like kind of gung ho. They're all very like, crime's rising, these block wars are getting worse, these rioters are getting worse. Let's just make the death sentence more acceptable. Start dishing out the death sentence more. And Judge Fargo is the one that's like, no, like we really shouldn't do that. There's probably a better solution. And I think that's part of why he sent Judge Dredd to go help in the academy.
Yeah.
Just to be like, okay, enough street time for you. You killed like 20 people today.
Because as murderous as he is, he's also a lot more fair, apparently. It's not really shown
Yeah.
by any means, but it is alluded to that he is the best.
Yeah.
Because he's more just robotic about things.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't really have any friends. He doesn't really do much of anything outside of work.
Yeah.
And he's just all about the law.
Like when he catches Rob Schneider was genuinely just hiding for his life. And he's like, oh, why you can't be like tampering with, vehicles or whatever, like robots. And that's why he got sent off to prison again. But Rob Schneider was like, no, I was like legitimately just hiding. Like, what else was I going to do? Jump out the window, like the 4-story window. And Judge Dredd was like, yeah, that's not illegal.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you should have done. You broke the law. So he is very robotic about it. He doesn't let anyone go easy. He doesn't.
I don't understand where he knew that Rob Schneider's character was involved. I don't get where he never saw him.
Well, he was just the fact that he was hiding in the robot is what was illegal.
I suppose. Yeah, I guess now that you put it that way.
But,
and that's where this is messed up. Like, this future is messed up.
It is really messed up.
It is really messed up. And it's just like, I don't know. I imagine like, because this is all very ground level, and I'm guessing ground level is where it's the nastiest, because they did show when Rob Schneider was flying in on his flying taxi.
Yeah.
And he could see like a family playing at a pool or whatever on top of a skyscraper.
Yeah.
I'm guessing the higher you get up, the nicer it is.
Yeah.
And the bulk of this movie happens like street level to like maybe midway up. Statue of Liberty high. That's
yeah.
We're going.
Yeah. Yeah, at the academy, when Judge Dredd is like talking to everybody, they kind of set up this little Chekhov's gun of the motorcycle they have there to test with that doesn't work very often.
Oh, the flying one.
Yeah, the flying motorcycle. So it's really faulty, guys. Guys, it's really faulty. We'll make a point of pointing this out. It's really faulty. And then it's around this time that we get introduced to what will be the villain of the story.
Who is locked away in the Aspen prison.
Yes.
With the auto guns. Like out on a... That was really cool.
Really cool. That was so cool. They haven't like put in this room and he's just on this like little pad in the middle of this like little circular little metal...
You don't know how high up or how low it goes.
You don't know, but he's just out there. And then all around him are these massive autocannons just fixed on him at all times. So one of the judges goes in.
It's actually the warden.
The warden, yeah. The warden goes in to talk to him because he's got a little package for him. And they set this whole thing with like the voice commands. Like the warden comes in and he like says his name, and the auto turret system has like a little Ed 209 voice that comes on.
It is very Ed 209.
It is very Ed 209. That's just like, oh, voice recognized or whatever, and it deactivates the guns. And here we find out what's the villain's name? Do you want to?
It's Rico.
Rico? Yeah, okay. So
and that's who Armando Assante plays. And man, this dude is chewing it.
Yeah.
He's chewing the scenery every time
he's on.
He had a
fun time with this movie, I bet.
Oh, without a doubt. You can just tell.
Yeah.
He's good in this role though.
He is really good.
I do like him as this character.
So the warden comes up to him and dumps some exposition lines for the audience about how Rico like murdered a bunch of innocent people. You never truly find out what he did. It's only just said that he was just super evil, that he was in the academy at one point, and he just turned on a bunch of people and killed them, I guess. So he gives him his like little package, and in the package is a judge badge and then a little tiny gun, and then a picture of a reporter, like a very famous reporter in Mega City 1 who's been reporting on like how bad the block wars are getting, and you know how judges maybe aren't that good. So then Rico shoots the warden.
Yeah, the entire like the thing containing the badge is the gun.
Yeah, that's right. It's pretty neat. Like it folds out and shoots him. and then he shoots him in the throat, and then the like auto turret like locks onto him again
Because it doesn't recognize his voice.
yeah, because it doesn't recognize, because he's all gurgling because his throat got shot. Yeah, that was pretty fun. So like it couldn't recognize him, and then the guards run in or whatever, and of course Rico tosses one off the bottomless pit, shoots the other one, and then makes his grandiose escape. So set that whole bit up. Those guards look pretty cool too.
Yeah.
Like the cape.
And how they kind of have like the judge helmets, but they're not.
Yeah.
And you see them a lot. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's the thing is like the production value on this isn't bad.
Yeah.
I like it.
I think those guys look cooler than the judges.
I mean, it's like, yeah, there's lots of like, even there's also the like more like the judge security guards that come up later.
Oh yeah.
And they kind of have the judge helmet, but it's like all blocked off, and it almost looks like the Death Star gunners,
Uh-huh.
where it's just like all black, but the bottom of the helmet juts out a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those guys were super rad. And then the judges, I think, kind of look a little plasticky.
Everything looks a little plasticky.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So Gianni Versace designed Judge Dredd's costume.
Versace?
It was credited, yeah. Versace.
For this movie.
Yes.
That is actually ridiculous.
And that is why there's a ridiculousness. Because the costumes in general, like, I feel like it's a good adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, Judge Dredd's aesthetic in the comics, I feel it's a good movie interpretation.
Yeah.
But there's something about this that is just, as good as it is, it feels off.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why. Because it feels very costumey.
Yeah.
And I get that they don't fit into the general aesthetic of this like gritty cyberpunk.
And that is supposed
world.
to be a juxtaposition, but
Right. But in this movie, it looks really off. And that's a reason why, is because it's almost too fancy.
uh-huh.
And everything is just like so snug and form-fitting. And how they have like, it's almost like a weird unitard thing
Yeah.
they have going on, where it's like a wrestling singlet that they're wearing and everything just goes over it.
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong, if I saw it at a convention, I would think it's super cool. Like,
And I
that
don't
would
think it's bad.
No, it would definitely be like winning some awards.
But it definitely feels weird.
It just, yeah, it feels very off. It doesn't feel like it fits in.
And I get like adapting it, the comic look, to real life, where I feel like Dredd in 2012 felt a lot more grounded.
Oh, very much so.
And it felt, it's weird how it's more grounded and yet ridiculous.
Uh-huh.
Yet feels better than this. This
Yeah.
is like, it's too shiny in a way, I
Mhm.
guess, is my beef with it.
Yeah.
Feels very, if you saw it strutting down the runway, like this is a new Versace look, you go, well, I don't understand high fashion.
Yeah, definitely. That's why I like the other troopers and judges more, because their appearances, I think, fit a lot better for the vision that they had for this movie,
For sure.
where they had to adapt a comic design for the judges, obviously. Like, I could see a movie original judges design fitting a lot better for the world that they created. Again, not to diss the way the judges look, because they still look good. They just look weird. But yeah, anyway, so
Yeah, I mean, we could, like, a lot of people nitpick the helmet, how it doesn't have, like, the weird thing. It doesn't have that little cross part of the red
oh yeah,
that comes down on the visor. And it's like, okay,
you're nitpicking.
I get it. Like, yeah, it is it is iconic helmet, and it makes sense to have that, but I also understand that people need to walk around in this in real life.
Yeah.
And do action scenes and stunt work.
Well, it doesn't matter because they just take it off right away anyway.
I can't argue that.
Yeah, for as much as they went through designing these judge costumes, they sure don't wear them a lot. Yeah, Rico sneaks into Mega City 1, I guess in like a body bag.
There's no guessing about it. That's how he gets in.
Like, he gets in a body bag, so for some reason they were bringing bodies back to Mega City 1 and not just like throwing them in the wasteland or whatever.
Right.
Like
why would you just
why'd you bring them back? Throw
chuck
them in the
and-
incinerator.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, we're just gonna lay them out here under the loading dock. It's weird.
It's a stretch.
It
but
is.
Whatever.
Whatever. He gets into Mega City
movie
1.
needs to happen. I'm sure there's a lot of weird bureaucratic red tape that's developed where, yeah, you probably need to bring all your corpses back.
Yeah. So he goes to like this pawn shop. This guy working.
Lots of guns.
Yeah, lots of guns. Lots of weird future stuff they just threw in there. Pretty cool set. There's one really cool thing there we'll talk about in a second. So he's like, oh, I'm Rico. I'm here for whatever. The guy takes him in the back for his package that he had delivered there. And inside the package for Rico, the package is a judge's uniform. And it's Dredd's uniform specifically.
Yeah, his badge is in it.
Yeah, and then a gun too, a peacemaker or peacekeeper, whatever it is. One of the guns is in there too.
We should know that, but we don't.
But we don't.
So Dongles, you're probably screaming.
Yeah.
Deal with
we'll
it.
call it the gun that talks.
A choose your own adventure gun.
Yeah. So he gets all this like judge's gear, and then he looks over, and there is what is one of the coolest looking big robot guys that dude has in the pawn shop. And I see you have it pulled up here. What's the name of him?
Okay, so it's the ABC Warrior. I think that it's credited as Hammerstein.
Hammerstein, that's pretty
And
cool.
yeah, apparently they were used like during some type of war scenario. They're basically just big giant hulking robots. And the practicalness of this
Yes.
cannot be understated, because I know that they wanted to like make it so it was a dude in a suit, and the director was like, no, this needs to be like a practical robot. And it doesn't always work, but for 1995 this thing is fantastic.
Yeah. It's really cool. So yeah, he looks at it and he's like, hey, does that thing still work? And he goes, oh, are you even allowed to have that? And the guy's like, oh, you can have it as long as it doesn't work. Yeah. Anyway, Rico kills the guy, I guess. Oh yeah, because dude was like, no, don't touch that gun that talks, that little peacemaker thingy, because it'll zap you, because you don't have the DNA. And he picks it up anyway, and somehow it doesn't kill him, and then he shoots the dude.
Yeah.
So, how does that work? We'll get to it.
I mean, at this point in time during the movie, you can kind of figure it out, because Judge Dredd talks about how he had a friend once.
Yeah,
I had a friend once.
Yeah,
and
he turns out crying.
Yeah.
What happened to him?
I had to judge him.
That was good.
I was
like
actually,
that.
yeah,
I
was,
like that.
that was. I'm kind of surprised myself on that one.
You even were like, Dongles at home. There was even like a little tear in his eye. He did it better than Stallone. I'm going to say it right now. Better than Stallone. Okay, here's the thing too with this, and that's part of the reason why I'm kind of like all giddy about this episode, is we did Over the Top for Father's Day with special guest, my daughter Connor, and we had a blast.
That was one of the
episode.
most fun times I've had recording.
It was seriously like the best time. And we were just Stalloning it up left and right. And that episode is lost to time. It just
vanished.
Technical issues, and it just didn't happen. And it's easy for us to say that. It was our best episode ever, and it was so funny. You should have been there.
Yeah.
But, oh, you can't hear it. No, seriously. It was.
There's probably some Russian hacker out there laughing, listening to it over and over again.
And yeah, well, anyways.
So Stallone is a bit of a key figure.
Yeah, so you get the idea through story that Rico is also a judge. He's the guy.
He's the friend.
Yes.
But yeah, so then he looks at the robot, and to fix this robot that you can only have if it doesn't work, like make sure it doesn't work, because these things are horrible killing machines, he opens up a little panel on its head, and then just like sparks like two wires together.
Yeah, wires a kill bot.
Yeah, and then it just works. It just turns back on. A little smoke comes out from the wires, and it reactivates. Super cool.
Did you notice there was a second one?
Oh no, I didn't.
There's another one in the background. He could have had two.
Shit, he would have won.
I mean, I don't know if that other one was complete or not, but yeah.
It was missing those wires on top of its head.
I mean, one is pretty cool. It would be like, I wouldn't mind mucking about with one of these guys.
Oh, totally.
Just obey your every command.
Yeah. So yeah, now we have Rico, super evil ex-judge, now has a giant Terminator thing on his side. And then you see that famous reporter guy, and he's like talking to his wife, and the wife is like, "Oh, we gotta be careful with this stories. They might come on and get you. You know, like this isn't just about the game. Like this includes the judges and like the whole police system. That this goes against them." And the guy's like, "Yeah, because they're evil. Like I'm gonna report on it anyway.
Yeah.
I gotta crack
That's
this
his
case.
job.
This
He's
is
a good
important."
journalist.
He's a very good journalist. And the door opens, and it's none other than Judge Dredd, wink, wink. And Judge Dredd, wink, wink, pulls out his little gun that talks, and he just shoots the reporter and his wife and kills them.
Oh, yeah. So right away, there's no wasting time in this hitting the major judge
He
panel.
gets the badge in one day and just...
But yeah, the fact that the council immediately is, well, all right, he deserves a trial because clearly Judge Dredd, murdered
Yeah, they
this
got
reporter and his
grainy
wife.
footage of the door open. You hear the reporter guy go, "Dredd," or whatever, say his name. He gets blasted away.
Yeah, and obviously he did not commit this crime,
Obviously.
but to them, they're like, yeah, no problem. He gets Judge Hershey, his partner, to like be basically his lawyer in this trial. And I will say this is where it all starts coming down.
Yes.
And the BS of the society where he does not get instantly judged, he gets an actual trial.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is some BS right here. This is where the hypocrisy of the entire system is laid out, because there's no instant judgment for him.
He's a judge.
Yeah,
Can't be doing
he gets some
that.
special
Whoa.
treatment here. Oh, come on now. And then they even talked about trying to cover it up. It just happened to be too big to cover up.
Yeah.
They wanted to cover it up.
That means that they're totally open to just covering it up.
Yeah. Huh.
Huh.
Weird.
Wonder if they're...
Huh.
Huh.
It's a good thing none of that happens in our society.
I know, we're
right
really
now.
lucky.
Oh,
that
it's a
this
good thing we're
doesn't-
living in the
yeah.
past
Yeah.
and not this
Yeah.
present of this movie. Because, man, that would be terrible.
That would be awful.
If somebody who, say, was like, I don't know, a cop for our time, because they're not judges,
Just-
could just
Be a cop.
kick in somebody's door and shoot them and, get away with it.
That'd be pretty awful.
Yeah. Just cover it up.
I wouldn't want to live in a country where that sort of thing happens.
Me neither. So it's a good thing we don't, because we live in the United States of America. Wow. Anyways, trial happens. Hershey proves a very good point of anything, like it could easily be manipulated digitally.
Yeah.
Because look at this footage. It sucks. They're projecting it 6 feet tall and like 9 feet wide, and it looks terrible.
It's like 140p.
If that.
Yeah.
It's grainy AF.
Yeah. This is the future. Come on now.
Yeah.
How do we not have better cameras?
Especially for a home security system. That guy is a famous reporter.
Your local 7-Eleven has better security cams than this super futuristic rich apartment.
Yeah. And your local 7-Eleven's cam sucks. That's grainy. This is like big round bubble pixels just bouncing around. It's not even static.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so yeah, they prove, and then they there's a random cadet kid also that studied.
who knows Photoshop?
He knows Photoshop. He took an accelerated class in
Photoshop?
yeah, like in Adobe.
That's basically,
Yeah,
it's not what it is, but
That's basically what it is.
What
He probably would sniffle and I'm actually better at Illustrator.
Well, actually, you can see here on the clipping match. Like, what they did is they put it on and then they feathered it a little too much. I shouldn't even do that. I'm making fun of myself at this point.
So, yeah, and that all that kid really says is, yeah, it could have been faked.
And that's good enough.
Yeah, and the judges are like, oh, Hey, hold on.
Fair point, though, because, obviously, you can't prove from that video.
And
that
if it's Judge Dredd, he's like the best of the best. Like,
yeah, spaghetti lips and chin would be showing.
Yeah.
Even in that shadow.
But then there's a revelation. There's a gasp in the courtroom.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because the prosecution has a little something up their sleeve that nobody knew about.
Apparently, somehow. So the way that the little guns that talk work is whenever a bullet is fired from them, before it is fired, a strip of their DNA code is imprinted onto the bullet. And so when they analyze the DNA on the bullets that shot the reporter and his wife, it's Judge Dredd's.
So unless you're dumb, there's only one possible scenario to this. But the movie is going to wait to tell you.
Yeah. Can't figure it out. They really didn't give you much for this mystery.
It doesn't take a lot to figure it out. It really doesn't.
So all the high-ranking judges go back, and Judge Fargo is talking to what is easily the super evil judge that is definitely going to be the really evil one.
I mean, Jürgen Prochnow is playing him, so there's only one conclusion you can come to, the German guy, who clearly has probably made a career out of playing Nazis.
Yeah.
And whose German accent he's trying to hide throughout this entire movie, and it just keeps slipping out constantly.
So the Judge Fargo is like, okay, hey, Judge Dredd is like my best student, and I really don't want him to die, obviously. So I am going to retire as a judge, and I'd like my final request to be that you spare Judge Dredd's life.
Which is, in their system, whatever his last judgment is before he retires, they have to honor.
Yeah.
And then he has to take the long walk to where when a judge retires, they go out into the scorched earth, they're given a gun, and it's like, just go lay some law out in the lawless land that's devastated.
Yeah. Which really makes no sense.
I think it
it
does because they're seasoned and they've done it all at this point. But man, ultimately you're just like, hey geezer, go out there with a gun and try to just tame the wild land.
Out in the,
More on that later.
Yeah. So he retires or whatever, and
they do just ship him out.
Leather
duster and all.
Yeah. And then evil judge dude is like, oh, that was your final request? Nah. We're going to send him off to whatever prison it was.
But what we didn't get was the whole Mitch McConnell blocking the next judge to be appointed to the council. I'm sorry. I had to say it because that's some bullshit.
That is, yeah.
That is some bullshit.
Yeah, it is.
And you know what? I'd expect that out of this 2130-something future that is terrible.
There are just more Mitch McConnells.
Not a couple years ago. Damn it all. More on Mitch McConnell later. He's everybody in the scorched earth.
I feel bad for any like foreign listeners right now that like don't really know much about American politics.
I'm sorry I'm going off on these tangents.
This movie is a big, like, representation.
I'm having a lot of fun with this.
Yeah.
Honestly, I am.
Yeah.
And it really has not a lot to do with the fact that I haven't drank in a while.
So, Judge Dredd then has to go off on this little tiny prison ship.
He's getting flown out to Aspen.
Yeah, he's getting flown out to Aspen. And when he's sitting on the little transport vehicle, who does he end up sitting next to but Rob Schneider? So, yeah, Rob Schneider's all like, oh, fancy meeting you here. Like, oh, what are you here for? And he's like, oh, I was wrongly convicted. And Rob Schneider's like, oh, funny how that works, huh? But what about me? Like, wasn't it wrong for me to, be arrested? And Judge Dredd's like, the law is never wrong, and then
There's a guy behind them with a huge scar on his face who looks pretty BA.
yeah,
Who's picking up on this conversation too.
yeah,
And is not
realizes who,
not cool with a judge being on this.
yeah, and so Rob Schneider brings up a good point. He's like, well, if the law's never wrong, then what are you doing here? And it kind of gets those cogs a turning in that big old meat brain. So criminal guy behind him picks the little seatbelt thingy.
Because he had a knife on him.
Yeah, somehow. I don't know how in their future.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Like,
I feel in this type of future though, as advanced as things are, and that's kind of the thing with cyberpunk. You're super advanced, but you're also just like, you don't develop certain technologies that we have in real life
yeah,
as time has moved on since like cyberpunk became a thing. So it's kind of interesting. It's like forwards yet backwards. It's like a Star Wars, basically.
yeah,
Where like, oh, you can have like this amazing technology, but also we're also backwards.
yeah. Or like an Alien, how they still have like old monitors and stuff
Yeah.
like that. That's a great example of that. But yeah, so he like, the criminal guy gets his arm around Dredd and is like gonna cut him or whatever, and he's like holding him back barely. And then on the ground in the scorched earth, we're introduced to
The Mitch McConnells.
the Mitch McConnells. There's a group of like weird, creepy,
Inbred.
pooky.
Okay, so the one guy with like the weird lip thing going on, he's like, "Hey, Pa." I get it, but at the same time, it's a little too over the top Southern accent of these are dumb people.
Yeah,
There's plenty of smart people with Southern accents out there.
I've never met them, but yes, I'm sure they're out there.
It feels like so over the top of this.
Yeah.
Because it's like you're still like by New York.
Yeah,
Like they're not that far away. They
No.
just left.
a couple miles.
Right. They're no further than 10 miles away from Mega City 1
Yeah.
when this happens. Because they had to fly low because of a storm.
Uh-huh.
And that's how they get noticed. But yeah, it is basically just Southern inbred stereotypes. Going, "Hey, Pa."
Yeah. So they're like, oh, yay, God is gracious today, or whatever. I don't know, they speak some religious nonsense, and then pull a little rocket launcher. They shoot it at the transport craft, and he gets shot down in a very large and devastating looking explosion. Like, no survivors kind of looking explosion.
It's well armored, though.
Well
I guess.
armored, yeah. But like the wings,
I guess I would give it that.
the wings are completely blown off, catches fire, tumbles. So
They send out like because they must have gotten word that craft
Didn't
shuttle
show
was
up.
shot down,
yeah,
and so they send out like the guys that I said looked like Death Star gunners,
yeah,
like just black, faceless cannon fodder guys.
yeah.
To go investigate, and they get on there, and the only two people who are gone are Dredd and Rob Schneider,
Mm-hmm.
who, you know what? I don't know who his character's name is.
I don't know either.
He's
and
just Rob Schneider.
he is just Rob Schneider.
How
That's
can
the
he
only
be
thing I
any-
see him as anyway.
He can't be anybody other than Rob Schneider
Yeah.
in anything that he plays.
Yeah.
He's always just Rob Schneider.
But yeah, so they show up and they're the only two gone. Oh, fancy that. And then they see that like one of the pilots is still alive. And
How one of the pilots is alive, because like one of the guards fell down
Mhm.
during the scuffle and everything,
Yeah.
and like completely shot everybody in front of him because this gun was just going off.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so the guard, the Death Trooper or Death Star, whatever fodder guy calls in, and he's like, "Sir, I found there's still one alive." And evil, not German judge guy is all like, "No, there are no survivors. If you get what I mean, wink, wink."
Wink.
Yeah, and so fodder guy shoots the pilot. Then we catch up with Rob Schneider and Judge Dredd, and they're in a church, it looks like. Or no, it's like a courthouse, maybe?
It is. I didn't notice it until later with this whole location. But apparently, yeah, it's like a courthouse.
Because themes.
Oh, it rhymes. it rhymes.
It's like poetry. So, yeah. They're hung up. Their hands are all tied up, and they're hung up on some, like, beam or whatever. And here we're introduced...
Just with rope. I did appreciate just rope.
Yeah.
Because...
That would hurt.
What?
That would hurt. And we're introduced, like, the full family, which is the father figure.
The super ultra southern son,
Yeah.
for no reason, who sounds way more southern than anybody else.
Yeah.
With the weird lip.
Yeah. And then there's just, like, a normal, kind of, not normal, but, like, a more normal, like, brother guy. And then there is the complete standout, super cyborg, beefed up, scary brother.
Mean Machine
Mean Machine
is his name. I don't even know if they say it in that.
I don't know either.
But man,
This guy's super cool. Super cool.
at this point in time, you may have checked out of the movie. But with Mean Machines around,
Yeah.
it grabs your attention.
Yeah.
And chef's kiss to this design too. It is good. I love it.
Yeah. It's very Guar.
It's just stitched up Frankenstein cyborg, just big giant robot arm, weird thing on his head with a dial on it that can change his mood. Ugh.
Super cool. And
It's
it does
so good.
It does not fit in.
I love it.
It does not fit in with the other brothers.
I don't know if this guy's in the comics, but he definitely feels like he would be in a comic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dongles. If Mean Machine was in a comic, start an email, save it as a draft, and never pay attention to it again. Because we don't care.
We don't care. That's right.
We care about you.
Yeah.
Not that email.
Just not about what you have to say. That's a lie.
I'm cutting that part out.
Yeah.
You could say it's a lie all you want. I'm cutting it out.
And then, so the brothers, or whatever, the family has like this talk. And I really do like Rob Schneider in this scene. Because he's like super in agreement with them. He's like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. You know, he's all like really nice, trying to get out of it.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah.
He's just all with it.
Yeah.
Whatever they want to hear.
And of course, Dredd is being all like, oh, you break the law. So, yeah, Dredd is all talking some smack. And Rob, of course, is like, he cut it out. Like, quit that. But Rob gets cut down and he's all happy. He's like, oh, yay, you know, thinking he is going to live or whatever. And then Dredd tells him that, oh, they're cannibals. Gasp. I mean, what else would you eat out there?
You would definitely eat Rob Schneider first.
Why is that?
Why is that? Because you have the meteor guy. I mean, yeah, you could probably just like, you could turn Stallone into a lot of jerky.
Yeah.
You really could. But you're going to want some of that fresh meat. So you're going to want to eat the little guy first.
Okay.
Save your big guy for later.
Here's my question.
Not that I know anything about cannibalism.
So why wouldn't they just bring in any of the bodies from the crash? Like, yeah, it's not as fresh for sure, don't get me wrong, but if that's all that you're eating out there, you want a little stockpile.
Well, there's a perverted torture aspect that goes into it.
I suppose.
Once you get a little fear into your victim, like you get some of that blood pumping through.
Yeah.
And that really adds to the flavor.
I see.
Not that I would know.
Not that you know anything.
No.
But yeah, of course, Dredd is able to slip out of the rope and a fight ensues. And the fight, it's a pretty fun fight. Because, I mean, Dredd doesn't have like a gun. He doesn't have a little gun that talks, so it's all very hand to hand.
Mm-hmm.
I like
a lot
it.
of headbutting going on.
Yeah. I like it when, what's his name? The cyborg dude?
Mean Machine.
Mean Machine. Like when Mean Machine starts like getting all loud and rowdy, and Dredd is just like, shut up or whatever, and like turns the dial on his head. But yeah, so the fighting dies down, and Dredd, of course, wins. And then right as right as the fighting's done, who walks in? Oh, and saves Dredd's life, by the way. But Judge Fargo, who was sent off in the wasteland, just by coincidence, ran into him.
But he also just gets a big old knife through his guts
right away
from Mean Machine, who everybody
away.
thought was like out of commission.
Yeah.
But then still manages to hang around long enough to give all the important dialogue that needs to happen.
Yeah. So after Dredd officially defeats Mean Machine, it's a down for a little heart-to-heart.
Which a lot of this information that's spewed out at this time is also given from the opposing point of view.
Yeah.
Like the villain side.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I would have to say that all the real important bits are from Judge Fargo.
Yeah. And basically what he says is that Judge Dredd didn't have a family. He didn't have parents like he was led to believe. I think he was told that his parents just died or whatever.
Yes.
And he had a photo of them.
And Fargo kind of raised him.
Yeah. But Fargo's like, no, you never had any parents. You were a collection of DNA from everybody on the High Council, perfectly mixed together to make the perfect judge, and you were lab grown and raised. So your life kind of been a lie. And of course, Dredd is very taken aback by this.
Mm-hmm. And it was Project Janus was the name of it. I don't know what any significance that name has. It's just
a name.
If it means anything, I don't care.
So, yeah. Oh no. Oh no. Judd, his life is a lie.
And they didn't make just one.
They made two.
Gee, can you guess who it is?
Yeah.
Maybe the other guy who's ginormous in this movie. Who would, I don't know, maybe be the perfect foil for Judge Dredd?
And also maybe have his DNA?
Who was also a judge?
And was his friend?
Oh. Perhaps it's, I don't know, Rico?
Yeah. But then, of course, Dredd is all mad because now not only did he judge his friend, he also judged in a weird way his brother.
And he's also seeing his father die.
Yeah.
And around the same time, I think, is when Photoshop Kid and Hershey discover this whole thing too. Like, it's all kind of coming together at once.
Yeah.
Where they analyze the photo and he runs it through his reverse Photoshop machine, which I can tell you right now is some BS.
Total BS.
Because, like, it looks like, okay, the digitization on the Mortal Kombat games, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
And so it's like, beep, 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 beep. Oh, we've eliminated, the baby's the only real thing. The parents aren't real. And it's just beep, 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 beep. And then it becomes like this really poorly generated CG lab behind digitized baby. And it all looks very Mortal Kombat 2. I'm not lying if you haven't seen this.
It's really bad. It's laughable.
It is super bad. And the one thing that I will say this, so help me God, if serif fonts become a thing in your anti-Photoshop software in the future,
you should start a podcast of you complaining about fonts.
I could seriously do it.
Yeah.
I just, ooh, man, I've got opinions and they're strong on a daily basis. I hold a lot in.
Yeah.
I really do. It's like, man, you bust out a font in front of me, I'm judging it.
You should make your own font.
I'm like Judge Dredd for fonts.
Yeah, you are.
Only I can't kill certain fonts. Bleeding Cowboys would have died a long time ago.
What about Comic Sans? That's always the most
Comic
popular.
Sans? Oh, man. A very long time ago. Like, decades.
Yeah.
I get it has innocent roots, but it turned evil over time.
There was this off topic completely. There was this big rug that they put out at my high school in front of all the doors, and all it said was SPHS in big red Comic Sans on the rug. So that was just some guy who sat down to order the rugs and just typed SPHS in Comic Sans. And I walked on that every day. My welcome to that school was Comic Sans.
I hopped on Facebook and I saw one of my friends, who will remain unnamed, was having a conversation with another person about fonts, and somehow the font the Papyrus came up because of Lamb of God. And I proceeded in my font opinions, while full of alcohol, laid it out there, not realizing that said friend definitely has connections with Lamb of God personally. And I've thought about it ever since then, of odds are they were just kind of ribbing the guy or anybody from the band. And I might have talked a lot of smack that Lamb of God personally saw. So, yikes. But honestly,
so you're
Papyrus?
saying the Lamb of God
really
used
Lamb of
Papyrus?
God? Yeah.
For what?
They're the name of the band on all of their albums.
Really?
Is Papyrus.
Really?
Have you not noticed?
I mean, I don't really listen to Lamb of God.
Have you not noticed? It's Papyrus. Really, dudes?
Papyrus.
If anybody from Lamb of God is listening, I get why you used it, but man.
They should have used bold impact font.
It wouldn't work.
No.
It wouldn't work.
No.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, I get why they used it, but it's bad.
Yeah. Anyway.
Font talk aside.
Font talk aside. Back to Judge Dredd. Yeah, so right as emotional talk with not dad kind of dad is like wrapping up, some more fodder troopers come in, and it's a bit of a confusing bit because Dredd is just really okay, doesn't even really think about it, and just kills them. Like, it doesn't really add up. You think that he would have had like pause because he cares so much about the police force, and they're just following orders. To those people, he's
no different than he was.
He is literally an escaped criminal who killed one of the most famous reporters in Mega City 1.
And for all they know, killed a retired judge. They don't know. They have no information on this.
And they are mercilessly gunned down. But that's besides the point.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that.
Because he and Rob Schneider have to get in.
Yeah, they have to get back to Mega City 1. And of course, Mega City 1 isn't, you can't just walk in and out of it. There's a big wall.
There's a big wall.
So the only way that they can get in
is where the wall farts fire.
Is where it farts fire. It's like their incinerator.
Every 30 seconds, a poof of hot flaming poo gas comes out.
Yeah. So they have 30 seconds to run in. And Dredd mentions that there was like a group of like, I think it was like immigrants that tried sneaking in that way. And Rob Schneider's like, oh, but they made it, right? And Dredd's like, no, but the theory checks out. I did like that line.
Fair enough.
Yeah. It was funny. So they run in, and of course, they try.
Hang on. I will say this. Rob Schneider and Stallone do have good chemistry.
They
together.
do. They certainly do.
They do.
Yeah.
And Stallone really wanted Rob Schneider in that role. Like, he advocated for it, apparently.
Huh. Well, I'm glad he got it because they do have really good chemistry.
And this is a good time for Rob Schneider. 1996 is good Rob Schneider. 2022, not good Rob Schneider time. I guess back then maybe we didn't care about vaccines as much. We took them for granted. Like, yeah, you get them. And Rob Schneider, I'm not saying just COVID vaccine denier. He's just anti-vax all the way.
Oh.
So I guess good on ya. Sticking to your guns, dude. What a time to be alive for Rob Schneider, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Whatever.
Yeah, but back in this time though, like, and I look back on this with, you know, the eyes of the past of like, he's not doing a bad job in this.
Pretty funny.
Yeah. It gets to be a bit much later on.
Towards the end of the film. Definitely.
Yeah, because as you pointed out, there's no real reason for him to be around.
Absolutely no reason.
There's not. And he is around.
He's just there.
He is around, and it really kind of
does he do like important things? He does like 2 important things that helps the group out, but yeah.
So it needs to be said here, I guess, since we're on the topic, Rob Schneider being in this movie, is that Stallone really wanted more humor in this movie, and he really pushed that there was more funny bits in it. So when you're watching this movie and you go, it's like, especially when Rob Schneider's like, there's a little too much of them later on. Understand that was probably not the intent going in when this movie was being made. And that's also like part of the problem is like the director had a very gritty, dark view on things. And I feel like it's not lost on this movie, but there definitely is a little too much humor.
You can't have both.
There needs to be a good balance.
Yeah.
And it definitely like starts to skew in this movie. And here's the thing too, is that there were reshoots that were done because Stallone wanted things his way and he butted heads with the director a lot. And the director was not there for the reshoots. I don't know what they are. And I'll give the movie credit for that, I guess.
That's scary.
And he was not allowed to be there either.
Oh.
They were done without him and without his knowledge. So if you ever think about this movie and you go, oh, you know what? It was a little too campy.
Probably why.
That's probably why. I can see the dark humor in a lot of parts of this. Like the RoboCop-y things that we've talked about and stuff. And I get that. It probably would have been a better movie without a lot of the comedy.
Yeah.
It gets a little stale after a while, especially like you said, why is he still around?
Just for comedic relief.
Mostly, yeah.
Yeah.
Like you said, he does like maybe 1 or 2 things anybody could have done.
Yeah.
It's done off screen.
Yeah.
It's not important. Judge Dredd could definitely have the knowledge to achieve, or even anybody else that he's associated with, like Judge Hershey. Anybody could have done extra stuff that Rob Schneider does. And I got a feeling that's where it is.
That's a very good theory. That would make a lot of sense.
Yeah. Because, oh my God, I didn't even think about it. Stallone was in another Future Cop movie just a couple years before this. He was in Demolition Man.
Oh, yeah.
You've seen Demolition Man?
I have not, but
oh my God.
Yeah.
Dongles, strap in. I'm going to say this right now. We're doing it next month.
Okay, because
We're doing it next month. Nope,
I've listened to podcasts on it, and that is all that I've gotten from it, so.
What do you say?
Oh, well, of course.
We're setting it up right now. March, Demolition Man.
Okay.
All right, no more to be said about that. I'm going to cut myself off right there. Carry on, son.
What do the shells do? What do the shells do?
Well, you have to watch the movie.
Even then, I don't. Yeah, I guess I'll have to watch the movie. We'll talk about the shells. But yeah, so anyway, back to the movie. After they sneak in, there's all the bit with the villain. So like, evil German judge dude, he wants to restart the whole like growing babies in tubes program because he feels like it's best. So in order.
And they're killing off.
Yeah,
they're intentionally
going around
killing judges.
There's like 96 judges.
And they're blaming it on street crime.
Yeah.
Even though they're assassinating them.
Yeah. And even Judge Hershey barely escapes getting blown up. And you also get to see the cool robot kill some judges, which is pretty fun.
Yeah. He's got guns in his hands.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, this is pretty neat. So, yeah, they're going around killing all these judges. So he's like, hey, how about we just start growing some babies? And they're like, no, that program is kind of ended. And also, we can't even grow them in time. Like, that took us a long time to grow just 2. How are we going to grow a bunch? And he's like, well, what if I told you we could just grow a bunch really fast? And they can. So they go through and they do it.
Yeah, accelerated growth.
Yeah.
So they can be done in, what did they say, 8 hours?
Yeah.
Holy Attack of the Clones. Batman. Did George Lucas watch this? Well, it's like
Dr-
poetry. It rhymes.
Oh.
Like I just gave him Kermit voice.
What if all these clone doctors had really long necks?
All we need here is a Sebulba.
Oh, Saboba.
He's got his hands are feet, but his feet are hands.
He throws a wrench.
He's just not a good guy.
I miss our Two Truths and a Lie Star Wars. That was good.
Well, I guess we need to do something else Star Wars, and we can bring it back.
Mm-hmm. Okay, anyway, so yeah, they go through the accelerated growth plan, and there's one bit that doesn't make any sense. So they're like, okay, what do we use as a base for the DNA? Oh, we'll use a collection of DNA from all the members of the council.
Which they already have on file. Because that's exactly what they used for the previous batch of Rico and Dredd. Rico then goes against their decision and instead uses his own DNA. And this is a very big deal. Rico using his own DNA for the little test tube babies. Which is just the same
DNA.
Whatever they picked out earlier.
It's the same thing.
I guess maybe he's like, I'm the sociopath in this scenario, so I want them all to be like me.
But it's still just the same DNA. Because Dredd has the same DNA.
They're the exact same person.
Yeah.
Technically speaking,
yeah,
they are the same person. And do they appear to be brothers? Absolutely. I buy them as brothers.
I buy them as brothers.
I completely buy them as brothers. And it's so weird that I do, but the whole time, because I went into this and whatever preconceived notions I had of this movie, I really gave it a shot.
Uh-huh.
And I gotta admit, I didn't get it before. And this time I did, I was like, oh, they're totally brothers.
Mm-hmm.
They're totally like the same DNA. I like that they didn't make them the exact same guy.
Uh-huh.
And because they could have easily done that, like put Stallone through some type of prosthetic or something.
Yeah.
Which missed opportunity in some ways. But at the same time, I like that the same DNA did not make the exact same person. They were still differences.
That being said,
okay,
Rico using his own DNA is still one of the dumbest things in this movie because it's still the same DNA.
And the DNA extractor.
Oh, Lord. So you took a DNA test.
Right.
You took a little ancestry.
I spit in a tube.
You spit in a tube and they figured out where your family roots are.
I am 73% German, pretty much. Just slightly under that. I'm surprised I'm not 80.
Yeah.
I am so German.
You're very German. So, in order to extract DNA in the super future, he puts his arm in his like big machine like.
Okay. Let me interrupt you.
Okay.
This isn't really a thing for your age group.
Uh-huh.
Maybe you know, because it was probably at Walmart when you were a kid. The blood pressure.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
It's
like
the
that.
evil version of the blood pressure test at your local Walmart.
What happened to those?
Too many kids fucking around in them.
Really?
I'm sure that had to deal with that. Because you know what I did as a kid? I was goofing around them all the time. We were climbing on them, sticking our arms in. It's getting poofy on my arm.
Yeah, so it's like one of those, but 4 gigantic needles come down and stab into your arm and draw out a lot of blood.
I spit into a tube.
You spit into a tube.
I don't see how that's any better than spitting into a tube.
I guess it's what they need to extract the exact same DNA as what they were going to use.
Hey, the weird backward science. It's somehow futuristic, but also very backwards.
I guess so. I think they just wanted a cool thing.
Yeah, and it was pretty cool, though.
I guess it would have been cool if it was like, I'm going to use my own DNA and just... Hold on.
Hang on.
Yeah. Do you have a swab?
We can extract it from my feces. And he puts the little plastic hat on the toilet
Yeah.
seat, and then he just drops a turd in there, and he's like, hang on a second, and then he's got to take the little spoon, and he's got to like scrape up a bit of the poop, and then he's got to put that in a cup.
And it turns out all the clones have colon cancer.
If the talking box only knew.
Cologuard.
Let's move on. Why are we doing this? Why?
We've been on this for a while now.
I'm having a lot of fun now.
Yeah.
I really am. It's just good, clean fun.
Back to the good guys. So Dredd and Rob go back to Dredd's apartment. Was it Dredd's apartment that they go to? It's either Dredd's or it's her.
I don't know.
I think it's
I'm spacing
Hershey's.
it out.
Maybe it's Hershey's?
Was she there?
She was there.
Yes. Was it all destroyed?
It was all destroyed.
Was it? Maybe it was her place. Because they tried to kill her, right? Because they knew that she was on to the Photoshop. Somebody's been reverse Photoshopping baby pictures.
Yeah.
Oh, because she accessed the
files on Rico.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause
on
she
the
also
internet.
scanned the
and
photo.
And when she did that, she was
doxxed.
they took all her
Yeah. But yeah, so they all meet up and they're like, oh no, a bad guy's gonna do the thing, I guess. I don't remember how they like know.
One of the fun things about this whole bad guy scenario is the doctor involved with the one woman.
Yeah.
Who, I mean, I guess she probably knew of the program or was hired to work on it because she knew genetics or whatever. But she goes from just being a doctor to just being evil really
Between
easy.
scenes.
She's just like, she just 2 feet in, just went for it.
I'm evil now.
Got to give her credit for that, really. I mean, I think she saw potential and progress of moving
Science,
up the
yeah.
corporate ladder.
Yeah, and she doesn't care if a bunch of criminals down below die or innocents below die.
Oh, very true.
Yeah. So they start their little plan of sneaking in, which... Oh, wait, did the chase happen before this? That whole chase scene?
Yes, because they have to get to the Statue of Liberty where the cloning is all happening.
Okay, we'll get to that.
But yeah, there is this chase scene.
Yeah, because Dredd and Rob had to sneak into the big judge building academy thing, the headquarters, where, like, Dredd knocks out a guard and starts taking off his uniform. And Rob's like, oh, God, we don't have time for this.
I did kind of like that joke.
That joke
because he was like right on top of him.
Yeah,
like
it was a little weird.
Yeah.
Rico kills all of the board members because he's like, I'm
because he
evil.
can.
Yeah, he's like, I'm evil. Kills them. And that's when Dredd comes in and he's like, oh, all mad at him.
Oh, I had to kill all these judges.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Rico is like, look, Dredd killed all of the major judges. So it's funny how he quickly just frames him for it because he's there. Yeah.
I mean, it worked easy enough.
Yeah.
Earlier.
So then Dredd and Rob go on the run and they get on that motorcycle. Sometimes it doesn't work for all the trainees. Sometimes it doesn't work.
It's not a bad chase scene, really.
Yeah.
It kind of
alright.
There's
some cool visual effects actually.
it's
decent.
weird. Huh. Where have I seen something similar to this? It rhymes like poetry.
Yeah.
It is
a little episode 2.
It is very the chase scene in Attack of the Clones. Like right down to somebody flying through an advertisement.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
But it's better in episode 2.
I mean, I guess because it has Ewan McGregor in it.
Yeah.
That instantly.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan.
Uh-huh. And that leads to that really cool nightclub scene too.
With the Sleaze Bago, what is his name?
Yes, yeah. You want to buy some death sticks?
I did like to get back to your drinks, Jedi business.
Yeah.
But I did like how Obi-Wan just gets a drink. He's just like,
right away.
Whatever, I'm going to the bar.
Yeah.
Not a lot of times you can just drink on the job.
May 25th.
Be there or be square.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, dongle talk.
Dongle talk and Obi-Wan show?
Yeah, I do it.
Yeah, I do it.
All right.
All right. That's settled then. So yeah, the chase scene is all right. Again, Dredd just killing judges because he's just okay with that now.
Oh, the just faceless thought cannon.
As long as their
guys.
face isn't showing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all those guys, they might have families,
Well, they definitely do.
and he can't judge them.
What
He's-
crime
he's not
did
a
they commit?
judge. I mean, I get it. He's trying to clear his own name. I think it would have been cooler to a degree if the entire time he was doing non-lethal damage
Yeah.
intentionally and
Yeah.
made a point of it.
Yeah. Like even like maybe stopped.
You could still make this movie violent.
Yeah. And like he like stops Rob from like killing one. He's like, we're
Yeah.
not gonna be killing judges here.
Yeah. Because he is that good. Because he's that over the top, like leftover 80s action hero
Uh-huh.
who somehow like doesn't really, I mean, aside from like Die Hard and some other stuff, they never really took enough damage.
Mm-hmm.
Like you never thought like, oh, they can't possibly be defeated. There was no vulnerability. At no point in this movie do you think he can't achieve whatever goal he's trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
He's definitely the superior human in this. Like he's just strung out and ginormous and yeah.
Yeah. So whatever. Chase scene happens. It's all right. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, I mean the effects here aren't the worst. They're very 95, but they're not bad.
Yeah.
There was like one weird part where it was like pre-Matrix where they're trying to like spin the camera around. And I don't know what type of, if they were doing that, but they didn't have the technology right. It looked really clunky and awkward.
Uh-huh.
It was almost like tuck, 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 tuck instead of smooth movement where it felt very framey. But I got a feeling they were trying to do that same multi-camera.
That trick is super cool.
Where they were trying to spin it.
Yeah.
And did you notice that in this?
Yeah.
And it only happened like once or twice and it was really awkward.
Yeah.
But hats off to them. I mean, yeah, again, you can't blame the effects.
Yeah.
You can look at it now and go like, well, they're bad. But there are a lot of effect shots in this movie that are good.
Definitely.
And
a lot of design work and a lot of work, a lot of models.
And I think some of it does stand up.
It does.
To today's standards because they're very brief and it's a lot of establishing shots. And they're not terrible.
Mm-hmm.
They're really not.
Yeah. So
yeah, go God.
Hershey, whatever, and Rob and Dredd, they all sneak in to where the evil cloning is happening, and they're busted by the evil big robot, and then they're caught by Rico, and Rob is shot in the chest.
He's shot in the stomach.
Yeah, just right in the stomach.
Or like like his side. It's
Yeah.
like not good.
No.
It does not look good.
No. So, evil talk happens, and of course, Rico's like, hey, Dredd, you can always join me. It's the classic. You can always join me. Together, you and I can rule this city.
And also at the same time, he's like, well, get these clones out. They're not ready. They're not done cooking.
Yeah.
Which amounts to basically nothing.
Yeah. They look cool.
Did they try to set something cooler up for this?
I think the idea was that Dredd was just going to fight like a bunch of like weird, gross, slimy, unfinished clones.
And they're barely in it. And I heard it was like a big deal with like getting them in these costumes and everything. And like just different stuntmen and stuff. And it just
was
really,
not used.
And it's almost like a Mandela effect where I thought maybe they did fight some clones in this. Or they had to, and it's not in it.
Yeah.
They don't have to do anything. And I got a feeling that's just stuff left to the cutting room floor that we'll never see.
Yeah.
Probably lots of good gross clone exploding action.
Yeah. That'd been cool. Yeah. Obviously, Dredd doesn't want to join Rico.
No.
Obviously. And then Rob somehow manages to hack into the big robot guy. Like jump on his back, not really hack into him, but like mess with his circuits.
Yeah, it's kind of like played as a fake out where the robot comes in.
Yeah.
To kill Dredd. And oh, no, he doesn't.
Yeah.
Which was done well. I mean,
It was.
whatever.
And you get to see a cool robot, so that's pretty cool. And then Dredd and Rico get into like a big fist fight, and they're like tumbling around, punching each other, trying to get a hold of a weapon. It's all right action.
Yeah.
It's okay. And then, of course, you have to have the two females fight each other.
Yeah, it's not really like that anymore. And it used to be where if you wanted one-on-one combat, it had to be male, female, female.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And thankfully, we don't get that anymore as much. It's really died off.
It was a trope that was also in like a lot of like anime too that I've seen.
Yeah, I'm thankful
like
that
earlier anime.
I'm thankful that one's going away.
Definitely.
Because I mean, it's one thing to say that like, oh, it's chivalry, like I can't fight a woman. But honestly, if a woman's more than capable of murdering any man in a fight, so therefore, just do it. Just let them all fight each other.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care.
But they have their little fight. All while, like, really cool but underused clones are popping out of tubes and stuff.
And they don't do anything.
They don't do
They're
anything.
just slimy and gross. And
Yeah.
they look like Deadpool from that Wolverine movie. Where
Oh,
they don't have
wow.
mouths.
They do.
I wonder if that's why they did that in that movie.
Well, I don't think it has anything to do with Judge Dredd.
You never know.
No, that was just pure stupidity that led to that. So the fighting ends up leading to the, for some reason, connected Statue of Liberty.
When did the hole appear in the head? Did we miss something? Was something cut out of the movie?
It was there. It was there from the beginning.
Oh, I thought I didn't see it earlier.
Yeah, it was there.
I thought it was whole. I feel like there was like a weird cut scene.
No, it was there in the beginning of the movie. I remember when they showed it in the beginning of the movie, I was like, oh, how did it get the hole in its head?
Oh, okay. I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah.
I thought maybe like there was something that was cut from the movie.
No. So the fighting gets out, and then Dredd is dangling on the edge, and Rico's about to hit him off, and then Dredd says some cheesy one-liner, which I don't remember, and then throws Rico to his death because you can't have your hero actually kill the villain. He has to let the villain fall to their death.
That's another 90s trope.
It is.
And I hate that one.
Yeah, it's
There
dumb.
was so many falling villains.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to directly kill you, but I'm going to also kill you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
where does it become not murder?
Like when...
He literally shot all those guys who had kids and stuff earlier in the movie. And that was fine.
But it's his brother.
Because they didn't have faces.
But it's his brother. Remember when Batman flips the coin in front of Two-Face, and Two-Face is like, whoa, and falls down?
Yeah.
It's like that sort of dumb...
Or the Joker in that. I did like it in The Dark Knight.
Well, because that's like the perfect Batman movie. So yeah.
For now.
We don't know.
We don't know.
Hey, the Batman's looking pretty good.
Oh, unless we do that one. No, never mind. We're just going to watch that one for fun.
Yeah, definitely.
It doesn't line up with our schedule. Yeah, so anyway, we're at the end of the movie.
Rico falls. The day is saved.
He's reinstated as a judge in front of the other judges.
He somehow clears
because
his name.
Word got out that the bad guy, they're just like, hey,
they threw
we
in a
found
line.
out.
Yeah, they just threw in that line.
We found out. And he just like, somehow has his badge too.
Yeah.
He just like takes a uniform from some guy and
guess
like
so.
hops on his bike and he's like, get back to work.
Yeah. Right back to her. They even offer him like a position as the new high council guy.
Like the head of the
and
council.
he turns it down because he's a street cop.
He's just a working man.
Yeah, he's a street judge. He's keep on doing what he's doing.
I'm not going to do it because I'm not greedy and lazy.
I mentioned this as we were watching the movie, but this movie I feel like is a sequel.
That was very interesting when
Yeah,
you said that.
Because, okay, if it was a sequel, we would have already established all of the Council of the Judges. We would have established Fargo and had somewhat of a connection to him. We would have seen even stuff with Rico. You could have established him at least, or brought him up, so that way, you know, him coming back would have been more eventful because we would have like known it was a thing. Also would have gotten a chance to see Judge Dredd be a judge and do judge things, because we really don't see a lot of that.
I feel there's enough.
There's a good amount.
There's enough to establish
But in order,
it.
I feel like in order for him to be like kicked out, and not be a judge anymore would have been far more impactful if we had actually seen him as a judge and do what he does best.
Well, they did establish that he was a judge.
Yeah.
And the instant fear of his name, and he was instantly recognizable.
I'm just saying, show, don't tell. And it would have been cool to see him actually do those things.
But he did do those things.
He did do those things
in the beginning.
Yeah,
and they knew it was Judge Dredd, and they did freak out.
I'm just saying, it would have been better if we had, if it wasn't in the first movie.
And you do bring up a good point though. Like it, I mean, I'm not going to say I agree that it should have been a sequel, but I get your point.
I'm not even like,
I understand it.
I'm just saying like, it's just a weird thing that I was thinking of. And also, having all these judges getting killed off and everything like that, you could have had been more impactful if you had introduced those judges in the first movie and you'd gotten to know them. Like, oh my God, that's Judge Greg. You got blown up. Oh no.
Oh no.
Yeah, Judge Greg. Rest in peace.
We miss you, Judge Greg.
We miss you.
I think it established everything just fine enough. I mean, it's a little
dumb
over
movie.
an hour and a half.
And I'm
it's
glad.
It's not even an hour and 40 minutes.
And I'm really glad there weren't two of these movies. Let me make that clear.
I don't think that this movie needed a sequel by any means.
No.
I don't think it deserved it. I think it's fine on its own. Some interesting bits about this movie that I haven't covered yet is the first choice when this movie is being kicked around for a judge. Do you want to even take a guess?
No.
Harrison Ford. Apparently, when they were thinking about it, I mean, because they were trying to develop this in the 80s even.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford. I say no.
No, I don't see it.
How about Arnold Schwarzenegger as Judge Dredd?
I could see it.
I could see it.
Accent would be bad.
I don't think it would have worked out. I think Stallone is an excellent choice.
Yeah. At the time, I think he might be like near perfect for that.
I think that they should not have given him as much control.
Definitely not. He is not a director or producer. He's an actor.
And he's a director.
Yeah, he made Rocky.
He's a director and a producer. He's been doing it and a writer for a long time.
He is good, but I'm just like, to take over someone's project like that is not his role.
I don't feel it was appropriate.
It is not.
Especially
He's an actor.
for this.
Yeah.
You can't come in with your own opinions on this unless you are like a Judge Dredd super fan.
Exactly.
So what was your favorite scene in the movie?
The opening action scene, because we get to see Judge Dredd do judge things and use his gun. Gun That Talks has few scenes. Far too little scenes. So, cool action. Pew pew. Yeah.
Yeah, mine would have to be the Mean Machine.
Yeah.
Anything with that. I love that practical makeup on him. It's good.
It is really good.
So, using our basis of saying movie, the better you say movie, the better the movie, I guess is how we could describe it now. How would you rate this and would you recommend it?
Why do you always make me go first?
Because I'm the main host. I steer the ship.
Yeah, but sometimes I'm the main host.
Well, yeah, you're...
Sometimes I take the lead.
Oh, well, do you want
we were in this together?
This and you bring it up?
No, don't monkey butts this.
Fine.
You're going to go first.
Fine. Oh, I'm going to go
You're
first?
You're going to go first. Let's hear you say movie.
All right, fine.
Okay.
I will.
Yeah.
Judge Dredd, 1995, is a movie.
It's just plain as that.
It's a movie.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm going to say that, and I would have not given it that rating until we just rewatched it, and I gave it an honest shot. I've seen this movie a bunch because, hey, I had like HBO for a bit around when this movie was released on video. I rented it. I'll admit, I rented it a couple times even, and I really didn't like it, and I still did because there wasn't a lot of options at the time. It was the mid-90s. What are you going to do? But I gave it an honest shot, and it wasn't as bad as I remember it. It's still not great because where it has its faults, they're bad.
Yeah.
It falls flat. But I think for under an hour 40, It's smooth. It's clean cut. You get what you get.
Mm-hmm.
It's simple. It's fun. The production value alone is worth a watch.
Yeah.
There you have it. That's my opinion.
I was going to second you and say it's a movie. If it didn't have so many... honestly, best way to fix this movie, less comedy, more gore. Because this movie is rated R, and it does not feel like it is rated R.
I brought that up to you beforehand, and I said, you will judge for yourself. No pun intended with that. I thought about that later.
Yeah.
But I thought of it more as a PG-13 movie.
Definitely.
But there are more squibs than I remember, and more blood.
But not a lot.
They had to cut it down. It was NC-17. And granted, they gave a lot of movies NC-17 just to make them cut down the violence. But I could see where it was cut.
Like, they should have taken some more inspiration from RoboCop.
For sure.
Yeah, because RoboCop has some fantastic gore.
We'll never get it, but I want to see the version that was the director's main vision.
Yeah, because I imagine it is a better movie.
And you're not going to see it because there was too much interference while they were making it.
Just watch Dredd. Yeah.
Watch Dredd, honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
And I look forward to the Mega City 1 show.
Whenever that happens to come out.
Who knows?
Yeah.
It's supposed to happen. I'll watch it. Carl Urban said that he'd be in it if they want Judge Dredd to just even make a guest appearance, which I'm fine with that. Base it off that universe and that iteration.
Totally. Yeah.
I mean, I like the cyberpunkness of this one. I feel it does the future better.
Yeah.
When bringing in the technology and everything. But yeah, Dredd 2012, far better adaptation, I think, as far as just gritty violence.
And it was a good film, too. Just like well shot, well produced, well acted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I made a Facebook post about that movie when I saw it, and I said, this is the RoboCop remake that we deserve.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
And it totally is.
Yeah.
So I thought you were going to hate this movie.
No.
I thought for sure when you picked it up, I'm like, oh, Bretted's in for a good one here. It's going to be crap.
It was just disappointing because its flaws were, in a way, easy to fix.
You can see the lost potential in it.
Definitely. It could have been like another RoboCop up there with like, in terms of that kind of movie.
Mm-hmm.
It could be right up there with RoboCop.
Yeah, and the robustness of the soundtrack felt like it was like, hey, gang, you're in for a RoboCop here.
Yeah.
Because it was trying to be like that kind of over-the-top, bombastic adventure music, and it just really felt out of place. And I was going to do it for our opening bit, but I was going to say, in the creepy old guy voice, I was going to say,
I knew you would say that.
Because they do that throughout this entire movie.
Yeah.
And that's a very forced thing.
Yeah.
Forced line throughout this entire movie, and this movie can just shove it up its butt. That is very forced. I knew Blink, like he or she or whoever would say that, was obviously the line that was being pushed. And I don't know if that was in the original script.
Yeah.
But it feels extremely forced, and I hate it.
There's a fantastic, one of my favorite anime characters. He has a thing kind of like it where he goes, next you're gonna say, and then he says what they're gonna say, and then they say it, and then they freak out because he totally predicted what they're gonna say. It's funny, it's far better, it's the same idea, it's not annoying, they didn't push it, and it's just good. And to see something like that in this, where it's just bad, was really annoying. Also, another thing with this movie, real quick, Judge Dredd gets saved from getting shot like 4 times.
They acknowledge it in the movie, though.
Yeah.
They do. He should have been.
It's just like your macho cool hero guy. I also feel like as the movie goes, he loses his like almost robotic, like procedural killing kind of like, I guess, thing he had going on in the beginning. Because in the beginning, like that first action scene, he's just very, when he's standing there and he can like tell the bullets aren't going to hurt him, and he walks into the building, and
it's a little much, I think.
He's just very like robotic about it.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the movie, he's just not like that at all.
At least he's not like overly cheesy about it. Like,
yeah.
He's not like, well, I guess I'm going to make some fun jokes, hug a unicorn and eat a cheeseburger. Yeah. I don't know. Well, I'm surprised that you liked it. I'm surprised that I enjoyed it as much as I did.
I didn't like it. I just didn't.
You didn't think it was bad?
I just didn't think it was that bad.
Okay.
Like, would I recommend this movie? No. I honestly don't think there's like enough in it. I don't think it's like worth it. Because
did I say if I'd recommend it?
No, not yet.
No, I still don't think I would. I'd say like if you have a sour opinion of it and you want to be that kind of crappy everything sucks facetiousness, if you just go into it and go, well, it could be worse, you'll have fun.
Yeah.
But I don't recommend it.
Yeah, like I said, it's just not worth it. There's not enough redeeming qualities
it
to make it.
It just misses the mark.
It really does. And it's sad. It's almost like a sad movie because it's close.
It's one of those where it had the money.
Mm-hmm.
It had the money. It shows on screen.
Yeah.
The money's on the screen.
Yes.
And it can't be faulted for that. It can't. Dang it, Stallone. Why did you have to interfere so much and shoehorn more Rob Schneider into it, who still isn't bad, but you can tell like
he should
too
not
much.
Be there. Yeah.
Even at one point in time, he's like, "Why am I still hanging around?"
He says that.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, exactly. Why are you still around? You shouldn't be around. You got back in. Go find. He has no stakes in this adventure.
Yeah, and for Dredd to be like just carting around a criminal, in his eyes, he is still a criminal.
Yeah,
and also at one point, as like during the whole chase scene on the bikes,
you didn't have to bring him back in.
Yeah, during the chase scene on the bikes, Rob goes, "Okay, you can drop me off here." He says that. He goes, "Okay, just stop here. Just drop me off here. Throw me off." Like, he just doesn't.
And I think the adventure still could have been completed without him.
Yeah, probably.
Killing that robot.
Yeah.
So, I gotta stop talking about it. I'm sure this podcast will be a lot less.
There's some fat on it to be trimmed.
We're just over 2 hours recording time.
Yeah.
So,
good.
That's more
longer than the movie.
It's more than it deserves.
Yeah.
So we'll leave it at that. Hey everybody, do you want to look cool? Brennan, you like looking cool, don't you?
I love looking cool.
You like a good fit.
You know how I look cool?
How?
Because I get some Corrupted Youth merch from T-Public.
You don't say.
Actually, I didn't get it. You got it for me. But I do look cool in my Corrupted Youth merch.
Hey, you know what? I'm going to let you in on a little secret.
Yeah?
You know what they don't do anymore, Brennan?
What?
And they haven't done for a very long time
What would
since
that
I
be?
was in my early youth. You used to be able to just get a Danzig shirt with just a skull on it. That's all it was. And we all knew what it was. But apparently people got dumb enough where you had to put Danzig on the back or the front with the skull. Which
so
was
lame.
Which was ripped off from a comic book cover anyway.
Nice.
Yeah. So you know what? Get one of those from our T-Public store. Follow the link.
Do you like Danzig? Do you want to not look like such a bozo?
Yeah.
With a Danzig shirt on that says Danzig on it? Just want that cool skull?
Yeah. All skull, no bull. You get the OG woe. I made it. I haven't advertised it at all anywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of it because, man.
Knowing our audience, there's got to be a few Danzig fans in there.
Oh, there are for sure.
Yeah. Court. You a Danzig fan?
I don't know if he is or not. I'm going to say yes. He posts the Danzig memes all the time. So
okay, yeah.
If you like Danzig, you definitely can appreciate the cheese factor of everything that is Danzig, which I do. Carry that kitty litter into the sunset when you're ready to go, Danzig. We're there for you. So contact us if you want to send us an email. Let us know. Do you like carrying kitty litter? Write into the Corrupted Youth Podcast at
corruptedyouthpod
gmail.com. Visit us in the Dongle Den on Facebook. Maybe Brennan might show up.
Okay, I don't use Facebook. I'm going to be honest, guys. I don't use Facebook anymore at all.
Yes. You can find me on Grindr. I just wanted to see what you Thanks to our listeners, the Dongles, and our fellow podcasters for your support.
Bye.
Hang in there, Dongles.
you. Corrupted you. Corrupted you. Corrupted you.
So many testicles.
What?
So many testicles. What is the hell is going on over there?
I'm moving things, okay? There's a chainsaw, weights, and a mess of wires. What's going on in here? You building a robot?
Shh. It's nobody's business if I build a kill bot, okay?
Is that enriched uranium?
Shh. Jeez. All we need is a bunch of Russians invading Doggle Den.